Welcome back. All right, so there's two things everybody's talking about in the hockey world tonight. As the bunny decides now's a good time to run around and get really whatever. I know with cats it's frisky. I don't know the rabbits have the same thing, where they just all of a sudden, and I'm crazy for 20 minutes. But anyway, first off, at the Panthers game, there was a rapper in attendance who it looked like was performing certain acts with the girlfriend during the game. Or I assume girlfriend. Maybe I shouldn't assume that, right? Might just be a friend, a good friend, right? Or an acquaintance, or somebody they met and they're considering getting to know. Maybe it's the new way of asking for a phone number. I'm old. I don't know how the kids work these days, but he was in the crowd, and at the point where this took place, he's actually up by the boxes. I don't know how to describe this is. Anyways, if you're on Twitter, you know what happened. It's what everybody's talking about. I don't want to talk about it in this review, so I'm talking about it here. It apparently wasn't what it looked like, so then they showed from a different angle what was actually going on. I don't think that looked better. I don't think that looked better, but it's not what it looked like, I guess. And then, of course, in the Avs game against Nashville, there's a too many men on the ice call, and this is where we bring up that discussion. Should they be reviewable? In my eyes, if we make all penalties reviewable, I think we're going to end up with a very different game. And when people say, well, why aren't the refs held accountable? They are. There's a head of officiating that is in charge of that. The thing is, we don't hear what that accountability is for the referees. We generally don't know unless it's in the playoffs and we find out that referee won't call any more playoff games. Dave Jackson, who's the ESPN official, was asked about it on Twitter, and his most recent tweet, as I'm recording this, is from 2 hours ago, saying, I'll find a replay and get you an answer. And that was in regards to why it was a too many men in the ice call. Nothing since then. So people are upset. The one thing for me is I haven't seen an angle that shows the entire ice surface. And when it's too many men on the ice, I want to see the entire ice surface. And speaking as a fan, being at Canuck games, I've lost count of how many times I've said, that's a really sloppy line change. I'm surprised that's not a penalty. Wow. And a lot of the times it's the Canucks where I'm like, wow, that's such a sloppy line change. And, like 7 out there. And then because of proximity to the bench and because they don't get involved, they don't touch the puck, they don't call it. But should they? So there's a whole other discussion to be had. I will do another video on that soon. And we'll go through what is called, what isn't, and what is inconsistent. And the question of, so referees being human are going to make certain mistakes. Should that be something where we have heard about when players get disciplined? Should we hear about that kind of thing for referees? Or is that a slippery slope? Does that then mean that a coach can come out the next game and say, hey, so we've got this referee. Well, he was fined last week, remember? So we know what to expect with him. So I can understand. And again, whenever these things take place, I try to play the devil's advocate and see both sides. Try to see the official side of it and try to see the side from each fan base and say, okay, and these things happen because I've watched hockey for over 4 decades. And if I got that worked up and that upset, I would have stopped watching hockey in, I'll say the early 90s. The early 90s, there were some calls that really upset me at that stage in my life when I was about 20. And now, I'm almost 50. So it's one of those things where once you've seen enough of these, it's hard to get that upset. All right. Now I will start the review. I just felt I had to get that out of the way first. This is why there's timestamps. So Tampa Bay in against Buffalo to start the night. Vasilevsky versus Luukkonen. I'm starting to feel kind of bad for Luukkonen here. Palat scores at 2:16 from Hedman and Ruda. The Sabres then press after that for an answer. They're not getting shots. The Bolts were keeping the Sabres to the outside through most of the game. Hedman has a blast that's saved, and then just past the halfway mark, Cirelli makes it 2-0. He scores from Sergachev and Killorn at 10:44. Palat then tries to add another. His shot ends up going wide. The Bolts press with 8 minutes left. Jankowski had a chance that was blocked. I think Jankowski's been good for Buffalo. And again, it's just Buffalo's having a really tough time because this is how it was designed before the season started. Sabres get close to one with 5:45 left. Kucherov was then denied and close. With 1:32 left, the Bolts get a power play. There's a shorthanded chance for Jankowski on a break. Vasilevsky makes the save there. Stamkos then had a shot deflect out. So after the first period, it is 2-0 in favor of the Bolts. Second period, with that power play, 1 second left in it. And Kucherov scores from Stamkos and point at 27 seconds. So Kucherov's back and he started scoring, and he's not the only one who's back and started scoring. Power play then for the Sabres. I was impressed to see Jack Quinn getting time on. I'm pretty sure it was the first unit he was out there for. Now, it's killed off, but it's nice to see Quinn getting some ice time and getting that chance. Eakin then fires one wide from in close. The Sabres go back to the power play. That was killed off as well. So, pretty decent penalty kill tonight from Tampa. Kucherov then adds his second of the game. He gets that from Perry and Stamkos at 10:21. Bolts pressing with 7 minutes left. Stamkos scores from Killorn and Cirelli at 14:04. The Sabres get a penalty, or a power play, I should say, and then they take a penalty shortly thereafter to make it 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off, and things get chirpy at the horn. And this is where Rick Jenneret and Rob Ray, to start the third period, they're talking about chirping from the bench. And you could hear there was a lot of cursing. And he asked Rob, like, well, was it like that when you were a player? And he said, oh, no, we were much more, kind of alluded that they were more polite and they used much bigger words, which Rick lost it. And I thought it was a pretty funny comment from Rob Ray. I know Rob Ray isn't everybody's cup of tea. I think he's one of the better color announcers in the game. I think he's a lot of fun to listen to. And when Rick Jenneret and him are going back and forth, or Jenneret's going back and forth with him, I think it's great. The Bolts pick up where they left off. But the Sabres did press. They draw themselves a power play. There's a shorthanded chance for Sergachev. He ends up shooting it wide. And then Hinostroza scores on said power play from Miller and Butcher at 5:31. Bolts press at 9.5 minutes. And eventually Kucherov gets the hat trick. Kucherov from Hedman at 13:57. They guessed that 5 hats hit the ice for that. It's blasted from the point. It was a screenshot. There was no chance for Subban, who had taken over after the first period from Luukkonen. Last minute press by the Sabres, but the final score is 6-1. Tampa didn't leave this in any kind of doubt. They go to 24-9-5 with the win. The Sabres drop to 10-19-6. So they've won 10 out of 35 games now. 3 stars in this one. Kucherov, Stamkos, and Cirelli. The shots, 9-6 Tampa in the first, 16-6 Tampa in the second, 11-6 Tampa in the third. They double up Buffalo in shots, 36-18. Power plays, Tampa 1 for 2, Buffalo 1 for 4. Hits, 12-7 Buffalo. Vasilevsky, 17 saves on 18 shots. Luukkonen saves 7 out of 9, and Subban comes in relief and saves 23 out of 27. So there you go. For Buffalo, it's another loss, and for Tampa, they get all those goals out of the way so that when Vancouver beats them, they won't have any left. That's the plan, right? Okay, Vancouver and Florida. Let's do this. It's Demko versus Bobrovsky. First chance was for Podkolzin. He had the second chance as well. Bennett misses a sure goal, and that's where I realized it could end up being a long night. Canucks back-to-back icings. They seemed out of sync, and eventually against Florida, they will burn you. It's Ekblad opening the scoring from Vetrano and Lundell at 5:18. That's through a screen. I don't think there was much of a chance for Demko on that one. And then Reinhart scores from Gudas at 6:24. So 2 goals in 1 minute and 6 seconds. That's only the third shot for Florida. The weird thing is, Vancouver had a very good first period, but they come out of it behind. Garland versus Gudas. The Canucks end up getting a power play because Gudas was given an extra 2 for unsportsmanlike conduct for pulling off Garland's helmet. And then the Panthers kill that off. Vetrano has a rush chance. That's blocked. And then Dickinson gets his third of the year from Garland and Hunt at 11:31. That was the 10th shot for the Canucks. At this point, Florida was still stuck at 3. So Florida really in that first period wasn't fantastic, but for Vancouver, they weren't able to really take advantage of that. Panthers get a power play after that. That was a no. They had some momentum after that, though, and we go to the second period. Score still 2-1 in favor of Florida. Good back and forth early action going on between these two teams. Besser has a chance that's denied. Reinhart then with a rush. His shot was blocked. Panthers with a near goal. The Canucks clear it out. The score could have been much worse. The shots favored the Canucks, but the score doesn't, and the high danger chances I don't think did either. Bennett has a net drive that's blocked. The Panthers get a power play, and they score on it. It's Huberdeau from Ekblad and Duclair at 8:46. So Ekblad's putting up some points, right? Mammon would then add one 26 seconds later, doing the math between 8:46 and 9:12. Mammon from Lundell and Vetrano at 9-12, so that's Lundell's second assist of the game. Makes it 4-1. The Canucks call a timeout. Barkov was then denied by Demko, so whatever they discussed in the timeout, it doesn't end up working out for them. 2:50 left. Canucks get a power play. Pettersson can't bury it. Things are scrummy after. When I say he can't bury it, I mean it was not a great shot. Pettersson's struggles have really become kind of one of those main storylines for the Canucks, and I'm not sure what the answer is. And I don't know that Bruce Boudreau's figured it out yet either. He's doing everything he can to try to build his confidence, give him the ice time, give him the chances, but we'll see what the plan is. So during that power play, Barkov gets a shorthanded goal and a breakaway from Ekblad and Reinhart at 19 minutes. So Canucks get a power play, could have given them momentum. Instead, Florida scores. So we go to the third period, score 5-1. Garland has a net drive that's saved, and then Lammikko, against his former team, he scores from Hunt and Highmore at 4:34, and it was a crowd of bodies in front, and it was Lammikko's stick was the last one that touched it. So, yeah, that makes it 5-2. Panthers get a power play. That was killed off. Podkolzin has a chance that's saved. The shots are 11-5 for the Canucks with 4.5 minutes left. So the Canucks get a power play, and then we get Pearson fighting against Weegar. It's just Canuck frustration. They had 10 days off, and then you throw them the Panthers. So, it's one of those things where it's like some of these teams that are coming off these breaks, it's going to affect them differently. And for the Canucks, they just never really seem to get it going. And again, Florida's one of the best teams in the league, so that doesn't help. Your final score is 5-2 Florida. They go to 24-7-5, win 19 out of 22 so far at home. Vancouver drops to 16-16-3. They're back down to NHL 500. Your three stars, Reinhart, Ekblad, and Barkov. Shots favored Vancouver in every period. 11-7 in the first, 16-13 in the second, 17-6 in the third. Final shots, 44-26 in favor of Vancouver. Power plays, the Canucks 0-3, Florida 1-3. The hits, 28-16 for Vancouver. Demko, 21 saves on 26 shots. Bobrovsky, 42 saves on 44 shots. We'll talk about Burakovsky when we get over here. Anyways, there you go. The Florida Panthers get the victory, and for the Canucks, this is potentially going to be a really long road trip. All right, Chicago. So Chicago tonight in Columbus. Columbus had a fantastic home record. That is starting to fall apart. It's Fleury versus Korpisalo. The early chances were for Columbus, and Fleury's making saves. The shots are 3-0 for the Blue Jackets at 5 minutes. The Hawks were stuck on no shots until 7:55. I think it was Kurashev had the first shot for Chicago. Roslovic with a rush chance, that's saved. Bjorkstrand gets a chance that deflects out. Jenner then opens the scoring. He scores from Nyquist and Werenski at 12:51. And it was a nice play off of a one face-off in the offensive zone. So it's 1-0 Columbus. However, DeBrincat scores from Stillman at 13:15. So they did not stay in the lead for long. We then get a power play for the Hawks. That was killed off. With 54.2 seconds left, the Hawks go back to the power play. There was a shorthanded break for Jenner. That misfires. We go to the second period. Kane rushes. Kukin defends on that. That power play is killed off. The Hawks press at 4 minutes. Jenner then had a rush chance. That draws a power play. He wanted a penalty shot on that one. Hawks did kill it off, but Columbus gets another power play after that. Voracek has a shot saved, and that power play was killed off as well. So Columbus was given opportunities and just they weren't able to get that tying goal or that lead back. Columbus presses after it ends. However, DeHaan scores his first of the season at 15:10 from Kurashev and Entwistle. And that makes it 2-1 Chicago. And then Bemstrom just couldn't bury one. He had a really good opportunity, couldn't bury it. And it's 2-1 entering the third period. In the third, early chances for Columbus. Nyquist can't bury one. That was, again, the storyline tonight for Columbus. It's a combination of Fleury playing well and Columbus just not quite having that finish. Hawks press, but they're not getting shots. Bemstrom then with a rush. He fires high on that one. Sillinger couldn't bury one either. Nyquist with the net feed. That wouldn't go. They blocked that out. And then Murphy scores from Taves and Kane at 6:36. Columbus tries to answer, but Chicago's not giving them a lot of room. So now Chicago's up 3-1, and they're not giving Columbus much room to do anything with the puck. Voracek then had a net feed that's blocked. The Hawks get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Fleury saves on Corrali. We get some pushing and shoving after that's done. Boquist then with the net drive. Fleury saves on that. The Hawks press with 4 minutes left. With 2:58 left, the Hawks get a power play. To their credit, Columbus scores to tighten up the score. Nyquist, shorthanded goal, nice individual effort by him. It's 18:39. Columbus finishes the kill, but now we're down to not a lot of time left. So they pull the goalie with 40 seconds left. Kind of a desperate play here. Not a lot of time on the clock. And DeBrincat hits the empty net at 19:45. Riley Stillman with the assist. That puts it away. Chicago wins 4-2. Columbus, frustrated, dropped back below NHL 500 at 16-17-1. Chicago 13-18-5 on the season. Your 3 stars are DeBrincat, Murphy, and Nyquist. The shots, 8 apiece in the first, 8-3 Columbus in the second period. So second period, only 3 shots for Chicago. That one goes in. One of the 3 goes in, and no goals go in for the 8 shots for Columbus. And then in the third, the shots are 10-9 Columbus. Final shots 26-20 for the Blue Jackets. Power play, Chicago 0 for 4. The Blue Jackets 0 for 2. And of course, they also got the shorthanded goal. Hits 13-10 Chicago, so not a really physical game there. Fleury with 24 saves on 26 shots. And Korpisalo, 16 saves on 19 shots. His numbers haven't been great, so again, we'll see if Columbus does anything with their goaltending. But at this rate, it definitely looks like they've fallen out of that playoff race. But again, we'll see what happens, right? Yeah. So next up is the aforementioned Colorado-Nashville game. And it's a shame because this was a fantastic game, and then the call in the overtime will overshadow everything else that took place. It's Kemper versus Saros. Early chances for the Preds. The Preds pressure, and they score. It's Jeannot who lengthens his lead atop the goal scorers among the rookie class from Luff and Borowiecki at 2 minutes and 32 seconds. So Jeannot remains red hot. The Avs get a power play. That's killed off. No shots. Good penalty kill by Nashville. The shots are 6-3 for the Preds at 8 minutes. The Avs go back to the power play. It's killed off as well, but it looked very dangerous for Colorado. And then Duchesne has a chance. That's kicked aside by Kemper. Saros looked to be in the zone yet again. He doesn't end up in the 3 stars, but I think he could have. I think that's a possibility that they could have considered. They didn't put him in the 3 stars though. Kadri misses wide. The Avs press, and then Cunnin at 19 minutes and 4 seconds makes it 2-0 Nashville from Yossi. With 7.9 seconds left in the period, the Preds then go to the power play. So we go to the second period. Nashville's got the extra guy, and they're already ahead by 2. Granlund was denied that power play. The rest of it's killed off in the second period. Tomasino with a net drive, that's saved. Newhook was robbed, and then the Avs press. The Avs get on the board. It's Aube-Kubel, who suddenly is red hot. From Kadri and Makar at 8:15. Rantanen then has a chance that's blocked, but Burakovsky would score. He scores from Aube-Kubel and Girard at 11:48. Fans were upset. Borowiecki was down on the play. I believe it was a shot block. He needed help getting off the ice. Looked like from the way he wasn't putting any weight on his foot that it was probably an ankle, which is, it's too bad. I used to debate this when the channel started up. I used to think that the amount of shot blocks in the NHL was kind of high, that they don't let the goaltender save it, and I sometimes wonder about how willing guys are to make some of these shot blocks without having full protection all the way around their leg, because man, you can shatter your ankle. Puck at 90 miles an hour, that'll do her. So Borowiecki's helped out, but it's 2-2 at this point. The Avs press with 6:30 left. Yossi has a shot that's blocked. Kadri had a rush chance that was saved, and then Cunnin restores the lead for Nashville from Cousins and Yossi at 17:25, and it was a nice 3-way pass that gets that goal. So Nashville's up again after 2. Third period. O'Connor had a wraparound. That was saved. Jost with a tip that saved, and it looked like, Saros might be stealing another game for Nashville. Avs then get a power play, and they score on it. It's McKinnon from Makar and Kadri at 5:21. That was posted in. It was kind of a perfect shot there, so no faulting Yossi on that one. Shots are 9-2 for the Avs at 7.5 minutes. Makar has a shot that's saved. Preds get a power play. It's a 4-minute call, and they score during the first 2 minutes. It's Duchesne on the power play from Carrier and Yossi exactly at the halfway mark at 10 minutes. So the Avs kill off the other 2 minutes, but now they're down. Makar would score at 13:19 from Nichushkin and Girard. And this is where the Avs kind of have that reputation for coming back. Burakovsky's denied. The Avs press with 1:53 left. Too many Avs on the ice. Power play for Nashville. That's not the controversial one. So the Avs kill all of that, goes into overtime. There's a 7-second power play. Obviously, they kill that off. They controlled right on the face-off, so we end up with 4-on-4 play then. McKinnon has a shot saved. Makar was saved as well, and we get a whistle. The Preds win the next face-off. McKinnon with a net drive. That was defended. Preds with a 3-on-1. Kemper saves, and with 2:28 left, they call too many men on the ice again. Again, I've not seen the whole ice on that one. I've seen the replay everybody else has. I haven't seen the whole ice, though, on one. So I understand people are mad about what they see as a missed call, and it might be. But again, for me to be able to do this every single night, if I was going to rage about calls that aren't made or are made, I wouldn't be here. This channel would not exist in its current form. There's just no way. If my emotions were that high, I'd have nights where I would look at something like this and I'd say, you know what? I'm not doing a review tonight. Forget it. I'll do something else. Just forget it. Or I'll do it in the morning. I'm too angry. And so I don't really get angry with these calls. I always see this and I go, okay, let's see how the penalty kill works out. Now, Duchesne scores on the power play to win it from Yossi and Granlund at 3:01. And it's a nice goal by Duchesne. They win 5-4. They go to 24-11-12, or 24-11-2. Colorado 22-8-3. Still an excellent record for Colorado. I did not penalize them on the power rankings board. Nashville, on the other hand, I think this low-key was their best game in weeks. I think this was the best all-around game Nashville's played in quite some time. It is too bad that there's that controversy around the ending now that does overshadow the rest of the game. The 3 stars, Duchesne, Makar, and Cunnin. Shots in this one, 12-9 Nashville in the first, and then Colorado controls it. 14-9 in the second, 16-9 in the third, and 5-2 in the overtime. Final shots, 44-32 for Colorado. Power plays, 1 for 3 for Colorado, 2 for 5 for Nashville. Hits, 19-14 for Nashville. Kemper saved 27 out of 32. I didn't think Kemper had a very good night. Saros saves 40 out of 44. So, excellent. I thought it was an excellent game for Nashville. I understand Avs fans and why they're upset. Totally get it. I thought Kemper had a rough night overall. And so we'll see. Because now they have one more matchup between the two of them. We'll see how much of this carries over and whether or not the Avs get themselves some revenge in their next game against whoever else they play. Because they got to be mad after this result. But again, if I got really mad and angry about a play like that, I'm not here talking to people right now. So anyways, let's move on to the next board. Okay, moving on to board number 2, and I've got to fix something. Fixed. All right, so Toronto in against Vegas, and again, it's Victoria, right? She gets up in Scotland in the middle of the night to watch these games as a Leaf fan. And then she does reviews of them. So, I mean, that's some serious dedication. I don't know if the Canucks were playing in 3 in the morning if I would end up being a Canuck fan. But anyways, let's talk about Toronto and Vegas. Campbell versus Leonard was your goaltending matchup. William Nylander gets the Leafs off to a great start. He scores from Riley and Kerfoot at 1:24. So the Leafs get off to a good start. That hasn't really been the problem on this road trip so far. Vegas tries to answer. Matthews has a chance. That's blocked. The Leafs get a power play. It not only wasn't successful, it doesn't generate shots. Hutton has a rush chance. That's saved. Matthews with a rush the other way. He ends up hitting the post. Spezza to Clifford. Clifford can't bury one. The shots are 4-2 in favor of the Leafs at the half. So a lot of rush chances and a lot of blocks and a lot of pucks missing the net. Leafs go back to the power play. That was also unsuccessful. Vegas gets a power play and they score on it. It's Kolasar from Dodonov and Stevenson at 13 minutes. Matthews nearly answers after that. Coughlin has a chance saved, but through one period it's 1-1. And I thought Toronto played a very good road period. But again, it's Vegas. They come back, they tie it. It's what they do. Second period. Early press by Vegas. Marchessault is then denied. Dodonov, he had a break. That was defended. Vegas presses at 7 minutes. We then get a power play for Vegas. That was unsuccessful. And then Austin Matthews, he stays hot, scoring from Bunting and Kasha at 11:43. The Leafs were doing a good job at this point of preventing the odd man rushes and those rush chances, which is the bread and butter of the Vegas Golden Knights, and honestly of a lot of the better teams in the NHL. Big hit by Sandin then on Dodonov, which forced the Vegas Golden Knights to go offside. Pressed by the Leafs with 3:30 left, and they score on it. It's Mikheyev scoring from Simmons and Hall at 16:46. If you're looking for the player with the most goals per game in the Leafs lineup, it's Ilya Mikheyev. Leafs then look for more, but with 52.2 seconds left, Vegas gets a power play. So that rolls over into the third period. In the third, the Leafs do finish the kill, but after it's done, Karlsson scores from Smith and Janmark at 134. We've seen this storyline a lot with Vegas. I don't know how far this is going to go. I don't know how many times you can come back from being behind before eventually you start just losing those games straight out in regulation. The Leafs try to answer, but we get a press by Vegas at 7.5 minutes. Then with 10:06 left, Vegas gets a power play. Then we had a too many men on the ice call against the Leafs shortly thereafter, which leads to 55 seconds of 5-on-3. You can't give Vegas a 5-on-3. They're going to score on it, and they do. Pietrangelo scores from Marchessault and Stone at 11:48. The Leafs killed the rest, but the momentum was all Vegas at that point. The Leafs only managed 2 shots in the third period. That is not the way you want to play on the road protecting a lead. So we go to overtime. Matthews has a chance that's saved. That would be the only shot that hits the net for Toronto in the overtime. Marchessault gets knocked off the puck. Pietrangelo ragging the puck. There's 2.5 minutes left. Riley forces Stone wide of the net on a good chance. The Leafs press. But Stone said it was offside on that. I thought it was too, and I thought if the Leafs score here, I think that's coming back. Karlsson with a rush chance, that deflects out. We go to a shootout. In the shootout, I did track who took the shots and when. So Dodonov gets a shot, that's saved. Spezza with a chance, that's saved. So it's Dodonov and Spezza in round 1. Round 2, Stevenson, saved. Matthews, saved. So we go to round 3. Marchessault, saved by Campbell. And then Nylander gets the winner in the shootout. So 4-3 is your final in this in favor of Toronto. They go to 23-8-3. Vegas 23-14-2 on the season, having taken those 2 overtime and shootout losses in the last week or so. Your 3 stars, Pietrangelo, Nylander, and Karlsson. The shots favor Toronto in the first, 9-6, and then Vegas takes over. 14-6 in the second, 12-2 in the third. In the overtime, the shots were 2-1 for Vegas. They outshot Toronto 34-18. Power plays, Toronto 0 for 2, Vegas 2 for 5. The hits were 41-22 for Toronto. This was a physical game. Campbell saves 31 out of 34. Leonard saves 15 out of 18. Toronto likely comes out of this game feeling kind of fortunate to have the 2 points out of it, considering the way that third period went, considering they were outshot 28-9 after the first period. So yeah, I would say they're going to be happy to get the 2 points. Sheldon Keefe may have some stuff to work on them with after this game, though. But they're done with Vegas for the year unless they meet them in the Stanley Cup final, which, hey, it can happen. I'm not going to say that it will, but it could. All right, Pittsburgh, the return of Evgeny Malkin. And you knew he was going to be prominent tonight because it's Malkin, right? So it's Jari versus Stolarz in this one. Jari continues to have a remarkable season. He doesn't get into the 3 stars. I think he should have, but I like goalies. Carter scores at 105. Turnover by Troy Terry, and Carter puts it in. Pettersson forced the turnover, and so with that, Jeff Carter has passed Ray Ferraro, which Ferraro said he didn't really care about. I don't think he does, but I thought it was funny that Gord Miller was kind of poking at him about it during the Toronto game. So back and forth chances at 3 minutes. The Penguins get a power play. That's killed off. Gensel with a chance that was missed after. Ducks press, but they need shots. They weren't getting very many shots. Gensel has a shot that's saved. Stolarz gets knocked down on the play. Kapanen with a break. He was denied by Stolarz, who had a very good game. John Gibson's been on the protocol list for the last few games, but I don't think that that's why Anaheim has lost certain games, and I think Stolarz was very good tonight. Ducks, though, were turning it over late. In the last minute, we get a Ducks power play. So in the second period, the first minute and 41 seconds, there's a power play for the Ducks to start it. But the Penguins and Jari kill that off. Jari was tested and definitely killed that off. Power play then for the Penguins, and they score on it. So Malkin from Letang and Gensel at 3:23. And one thing that's different this year from last year for Anaheim has generally been that their special teams are to their benefit. And of course, last year they were historically bad. So if they start to regress on their special teams, this could absolutely cause them to end up missing the playoffs, especially with the fact that there's some other teams that are starting to pick up their play now. So Crosby screened on that one too with a nice jump. Really nice vertical by Crosby on that. Raquel tries to answer, but Dumoulin defends on that, and then Silverberg does answer at 8:33. The Ducks then seek the tie, but the Penguins get a power play, so the power play takes away the momentum for Anaheim, and then Malkin gets the second goal of the period from Marino and Kapanen at 14:38. So now it's 3-1 for Pittsburgh, and in the last minute they get some pressure, so they go into the intermission feeling pretty good about their game, and the score flatters them too. And rightfully so. They had a very good game, and they should be flattered. Third period, because normally I always see like the score flatters this team, and I'm thinking, well, flattering's not always bad, right? So third period, it's always meant as a dig though. And so anyways, third period, early power play for the Ducks. Ducks then get another power play after that. Penguins hadn't had a shot to that point in the period. Not that it really mattered. The Ducks weren't able to solve Jarry. So, shorthanded 2-on-1. Dumoulin's shot was saved there. He didn't want to take the shot. He wanted to pass it, but he was defended out. Pens killed it off. The Penguins then pressed at the half. Shattenkirk has a chance. He's denied. The Pens had one shot with 7.5 minutes left. So they went into a shell. Just dump it in. You know, you're on the road. You want to just preserve your energy and just make sure that you're making them go 200 feet each time. Bluger was denied point blank. So this jersey, I'm wearing my Teddy Bluger right now, but he was denied there. Fowler has a chance that's held, and Jarry was basically a wall at this stage of the game. Goalie pull with 4 minutes left because they're down by a couple, and that allows the empty net goal for Carter. He scores from Malkin and Kapanen at 17:03. What's nice on this goal, Malkin absolutely could have buried it for the hat trick. He gives it to Carter instead, and Carter gets his 410th goal. So it's one of those unselfish plays by Malkin, who ends up with 3 points on the night. I would think that Penguins fans should be quite happy with that. They go to 21-9-5 with the win. So that loss against Dallas, just the one-off, and now they're back on a winning streak. Anaheim 19-13-7. So for Anaheim, again, it's an issue because it feels like San Jose's right there. And the Kings are absolutely right there. And the Flames, once we start playing hockey with Canadian teams again, the Flames and the Oilers could be dangerous. So your 3 stars in this one are Malkin, Silverberg, and Carter. Shots, 16-7 Pittsburgh in the first, 13-11 Pittsburgh in the second, 8-5 Anaheim in the third. Final shots, 34-26 for Pittsburgh. The Penguins 1 for 3 on the power play, which has been an issue for them all season. Malkin's back and gets a power play goal. We'll see if that turns things around. Anaheim 0 for 3. The hits 14-12 Anaheim. Jarry saves 25 out of 26. Stolarz saves 30 out of 33. So again, I thought Stolarz played well. It's not on him for the loss, but he does take the loss on his record. Next up, Detroit and San Jose. This was an interesting one too. This was a very interesting one. So it's Nedeljkovic versus Hill. Meyer has a chance that deflects wide. This game was sleepy at points only because there were some other really fun things going on in other games, but the end of this, we'll get to it. Crossbar for Suter. Barber exits the game. He got hurt. The shots are 2-0 for the Wings at 5 minutes. I thought that was important because in previous California games, getting off to that fast start, it doesn't feel like the Wings have been able to do that. They get themselves a power play. That was unsuccessful. The Sharks then, they get a turn on the power play. It is also unsuccessful, but the Sharks go right back to the power play after it's done, and they score on it. It's Timo Meier from Dahlin and Burns at 14:24. Cogliano then had a chance that was saved. It's 1-0 San Jose after 1. Second period. Shots are 5-0 for the Sharks at 2.5 minutes. Yeah, the Sharks came out pretty good to start the period. The Wings press at 3 minutes. Nieto then had a rush chance that's saved. Seider exits after a puck to the face. He would come back. That had to be kind of scary for Detroit fans. Like, no, not Moritz Seider. He's not allowed to get hurt. And it's not the first time we've had a scare with him recently, is it? Hurdle has a chance that goes wide. Nemesnikov has a blast that's saved. Hill saves on Smith when the Sharks were... and then the Sharks rush, so he saves on Giovanni Smith, and then the Sharks had a rush the other way. We then get a press by the Wings at the half. The Sharks get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Shots were more than 2-1 in favor of the Sharks at this point, but it's noteworthy. It's only 1-0. Burns had a chance that wouldn't go, but it's all Sharks. Seider's back on the ice at this point. The Wings get a power play late, and then they get 1 minute and 40 seconds of 5-on-3. What is it with all the 5-on-3s tonight? There seems to be a lot of them for only 7 games on the schedule. And they score on it. They checked on whether or not this was a 5-on-3 goal. It was scored just before the 5-on-3 was done. So it's Bertuzzi 5-on-3 from Hronek and Seider at 1939. So the rest of that power play is killed off by the Sharks, but it's 1-1 entering the third period. And at 1:48, Leddy scores from Hronek and Bertuzzi, and it was a goal that I thought Hill really needed to stop. It was one that I saw and I said, that's where you need that stop from Hill, and it puts Detroit ahead. Now, in their defense, the Sharks answer. VL scores from Burns. He crashed the net. He ran into the goaltender. It was seen as incidental contact more than intentional contact, and so they didn't challenge on that. I don't think that goal would have come off if it had been challenged. I think it still would have counted, and then if you're the Red Wings, then you're killing another penalty. They did think about it. You can see Blashill thought about it. Shots are 5-3 for the Sharks at 7 minutes. Couture has a net drive. He's denied. The fans try calling a penalty a little bit later. Ref says no. The Wings get some rushes with 5 minutes left. They had 2 back-to-back rushes, and they had the puck quite a bit there for a little while. Carlson has a shot saved as the Sharks would press. Meyer hits 2 posts. 2. Timo Meyer, jinxed. He gets the power play goal here. Could not beat those posts in the third period. Fabry can't bury one as the Wings press, and we go to overtime. In the overtime, Sharks control, and they go offside. So they immediately go offside. Raymond with a rush chance that's saved, and then there's an octopus on the ice. Now, I'm going to explain this, because, again, on the Twitter machine, I mentioned it. I think as soon as there's a foreign object on the ice, like an octopus, which in theory could cause a player to completely wipe out and get hurt, you blow the whistle. I think that's what you should do each time. I think that we've got into a league now where if somebody gets hurt on the play, they immediately blow the whistle, when they didn't until the Matt Calvert incident. And ever since then, they blow the whistle. Goalies, their mask comes off. They didn't necessarily always blow the whistle. Now they do. Skate blades thrown, they will blow the whistle very often for a goaltender when their skate blades thrown. So, octopus on the ice to me should mean a whistle. And I was trying to figure out the point of this. Like, the octopus is meant to be a playoff reference more than just a Detroit reference. So I was kind of like, okay, I can even get into how I can do a video on how the whole octopus thing started, because people may not know. I think it's pretty well known how the octopus thing started yet. But here's the thing. So you've got an octopus on the ice. Did I say the linesman pick it up and throw it? Like, anyways, the Sharks score with the octopus on the ice. And then there's this delay. I hate the delays. So, was it a high stick? Nope. What they were looking at was it offside? And so they take all this back and forth and back and forth. Just the eyeball test, I looked at it on the first replay I saw, and I said, that's onside. That's a good goal. And sure enough, after what felt like an eternity, they're like, yeah, the goal counts. So Logan Couture gets the goal from Burns and Dahlin at 1 minute exactly. This is a lot of writing for 1 minute of action, because there was an octopus on the ice. Weird. So whoever threw the octopus on the ice, you were officially a jinx to the Detroit Red Wings. You might be out of the Brethren. You might be out of their union. So the Wings dropped to 16-16-5 with the overtime loss. They do get 2 points on the California swing, but they don't get a victory. For San Jose, they're 20-16-1, and they had to be very happy about what the Penguins did tonight, because that makes them that much closer to the Anaheim Ducks. Your 3 stars in this one: Couture, Nedeljkovic, Burns. Honorable mention to whoever threw the octopus on the ice. Seemed to help San Jose. I don't think that was the intention. Shots in this one favored San Jose the whole way through. 12-6 in the first, 14-6 in the second, 13-6 in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime, San Jose's being the one that mattered. Final shots 40-19 for San Jose. And Couture was interviewed after the game and said they never really got that frustrated with the fact Nedeljkovic was saving anything. They just made sure they stayed to their game. The power plays, both teams go 1 for 3. The hits were 28-20 in favor of Detroit. Nedeljkovic saves 37 out of 40. Great game by him. This score would have been so lopsided without Nedeljkovic. Hill saved 17 out of 19. They did a good job of protecting him on a night where Hill may not have had his best game. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as I know everybody will. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will be here to cover all the NHL hockey every night and do my best to keep all the emotional stuff as far out of it as possible. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.